Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Truth Wanted. I'm your host, Objectively Dan. This is the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. Welcome, everybody, if you're watching live. As you know, every week I have a special guest, and this week's guest is a very special one indeed. A lot of people have said I need to talk to him again because it's been a long time. You've probably read his book. It's a worldwide bestseller. Not autobiography. It is a biography. A couple biographies in there, actually. You may have said his name if you ever stubbed your toe. It's Jesus H. Christ, folks. Live with me tonight. Jesus, welcome to the show.
Praise be.
Praise be. So Jesus, you have quite a following these days, I'd say. Your fandom is pretty big. I used to be a part of your fandom, actually, but it was, it's been a while. What's going on these days, Jesus?
I'm not quite as popular as the Beatles. John Lennon was correct. The Beatles, I think, are vastly more popular than I am, at least these days. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my Jesus duties on YouTube, and I've been really trying to save the heathens on TikTok. There's been a battle raging on TikTok.
Yeah, you're on TikTok. You're also on YouTube. You got 1.1 million subscribers on there. So I mean, Justin Bieber has you beat, but hey, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
You're just on the TikToks. You're on Twitch for a bit, and you're just you're also in people's hearts. To be fair, I mean, you really are everywhere. Yeah,
always. Yes.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. Again, I get emails. I literally got an email last week of somebody saying, "Hey, like I heard about your story. I'm so sorry. You may not have really known Jesus for real, and now I get to say, hey, look, he's on the show right now. So welcome. It's a breaking character for a minute. Jesus, you are a person, a real person. That's not the historical Jesus. We are going to call you Jesus anyway. That's how you go online.
I'm a real human being.
Yes. You're a real human being.
Still the son of God.
We're all children of God.
But a human,
way,
yes.
Right? Yeah, but a human. You have this character that you do online, and you've done it just a bunch of different stuff. You've got videos of you at some gay pride parade stuff. There's one video of you skateboarding on a cross, which is pretty dope. What's the deal with this Jesus character? What got you started doing this?
I've been asked so many times why or how, and I don't think I have one specific answer that just kind of encompasses why it happened. It was a culmination of a lot of different things happening in my life at the time that kind of got me to do it. But the short of it is I think the best answer I could give is I wanted to kind of make a statement, a very strong statement to some specific people, mainly my family. And I figured this might be a good way to do it. And it just kind of snowballed. And now I suffer from imposter syndrome. I have no idea how it got to where it is now. But I'm having a great time doing it. And it's the best job in the entire world. Being the son of God, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's the tits, man.
I imagine the other Jesus probably feels the same way. It's like, oh, I don't know how it got to this point, kind of got out of hand, right?
Yeah. But no, I mean, hey, listen, there are a lot of Jesuses out there, tons of them. And I wasn't the first, and neither was, Jesus Christ either. It's just kind of one of those things. I guess I'm the first that thought to like give it a real shot, I guess, on the internet.
Yeah.
Sorry, my camera was overcome by the Holy Spirit.
There you go.
It does that. I resurrected it though. It's fine. So, but yeah, I'm always shocked that like, why didn't somebody else try this? I can't possibly be the first person who thought of this, or whatever. I mean, anybody can go on Amazon and buy a tunic and grow their hair out or whatever. But and others have tried. I mean, there's others like on Fiverr. There's like 3 or 4 Jesuses on there. But I'm like, it worked. It worked for me.
So you say that, yeah, you want to do this because you want to make a statement. And I'm curious, like, could you elaborate a little more about what you mean when you say that?
Oh boy. So in another life, I was extremely religious. I was very, 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 very Mormon. And I say very, and like I had checked every box. I was doing everything that I should have been doing in my 30 years of existence at that point, in that organization, in the Mormon church.
Right.
Or as they like to be called, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Right. Right.
They get very upset if you just
some of them might get ticked off if you ask them to say someone's correct pronouns, but we got to make sure we get the church name right. So yeah.
Right. So I was very much a part of that organization, and then it was a slow process of things happening, mostly political stuff. It was Proposition 8 was the big one in California that was challenging. They were trying to prevent gay marriage from ever being legal in California.
Right.
And the Mormon Church got really behind it, and it was every Sunday. In fact, every day of the week basically was like. Our congregation was basically being obligated to like picket and call and make phone calls and do all this stuff. And I was always finding a way to kind of sneak my way out of those obligations and not participate, because I deep down, I felt terrible. I was like, this isn't right. I deeply disagreed with it. But the problem is in Mormon doctrine, you're not supposed to ever disagree with leaders. In fact, that's a sin. It's a sin, and you're taught that even if they're wrong, you never ever disagree or talk bad or criticize your leaders. And then that started to kind of bother me too. You're constantly told to doubt your doubts and all these things, and I've always I had this kind of in the back of my mind, like it sounds kind of like a cult, but nah, there's no way I would have been born into a very controlled religious group. This is just the Lord's way. And then I got on YouTube and Googled and started kind of poking around, and it was there. It was basically YouTube was like it was like a renaissance, or my shelf broke, so to speak. I was like shocked at all the information that had been kind of kept from me, and what we're not allowed to look, as a Mormon, you're not allowed to ever look at anything that criticizes the church or anything like that, or the gospel in any way. And so I'd always followed that until I couldn't, until finally my curiosity got the best of me. And YouTube, it was basically YouTube that kind of broke me free from that. And I was kind of like the first of 8 kids in my family, over 100 cousins, and lots of all my friends, my whole entire social, everything I knew, all my friends was all wrapped into that church. And so leaving was very difficult, but I made the very difficult decision to do that. And as my way of like trying to get everybody's attention and wake everybody up and be like, guys, you've got to look at this information. You need to, I kind of chose this as like a way of doing that. And also it's kind of therapeutic and, cathartic. It's great. And it ended up becoming a source of income. So that, it's a lot of things.
Yeah. If I was a Christian still, and I saw what you were doing specifically, like dressing up as Jesus in public, kind of making religious jokes offhand, showing up at gay pride parades, I would be like, wow, this is super offensive to my beliefs. This is like really, like if we did this for Muhammad, there'd be a riot, but we can get away with it because, people are okay with making fun of Christianity. And it's like, now that I look back and see it, it's like, I don't know. I don't have that same reverence for the person of Jesus. And even just having that reverence before is kind of an interesting thing to examine, I guess, because like, who's to say that what your interpretation of Jesus isn't more right than anybody else's? There's always that criticism of every single denomination has their own ideas of what. I've read that Jesus was the ultimate capitalist. I've seen that on Twitter. I've read that he's the opposite, that he's like a socialist Jewish person, like a Bernie Sanders type or something, and
he's who you want he's who you want him to be, and that's different for wherever you fall in.
Yeah. So what's that like for you doing that character? I imagine you probably get a lot of pushback from people.
Absolutely. It's different on each platform. It's kind of, for example, on YouTube, I made the decision right off the get-go, before I've never taken a penny, 1 cent from YouTube. All of that money has gone directly to a charity. And I decided that was the most Jesus thing to do. I mean, I didn't want to ever be criticized of profiting from Jesus in that way. And so I decided to just approach it in the most Jesus way possible. So everything that's ever been, super chat money and all the AdSense and everything has gone to a breed rescue. And
Sweet.
that has made things that just like clears away a lot of the stuff that kind of makes it a little icky, I guess. At least for me. I mean, I wanted that to, that was like a personal decision for me. But I support myself by doing Fiverr and Cameo, which to me that felt like, okay, I'm having a individual transaction with somebody who this is what they want, like this is I'm providing a service, a product, to that person in the form of a short video. And I've done over 20,000 of these little video clips, whether it's on mostly on Fiverr, but also on Cameo, for people for whatever it is, a birthday or a party that they can't attend because of COVID, and so, they need some cheering up and their best friend gets me to do that for them. So, it's a great thing. Like I love what I do and I feel very positive doing it. I never engage in any sort of like hate. That's like my policies. There's absolutely no messages of hate or homophobia or racism or anything like that. I don't judge what your message is. I don't care what it is, as long as if I catch a whiff of anything like racist, homophobic, or anything like that, I cancel the order. But I don't have to worry about it. Once a week, I probably get somebody that they want me to use the N word or something. And I'm just
my gosh,
why? Like, why would you think this is funny? Sorry, I cancel the order, And so I always try to be let me put it this way. I mean, for 30 years of my life, Jesus was my my hero, my absolute hero, who I thought was like, the ultimate example of how somebody should be. And so when I decided to do this, I thought, okay, when it comes to me and how I'm going to approach this personally, not necessarily with Fiverr videos or something when I'm given a script, I don't have a lot of control with that. But as far as what I put up on YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is, I want it to be what I think Jesus would legitimately do. And I know, obviously, I'm doing that through my own biases because they've changed. I am a very different person now than I was, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I like an completely opposite person. I was just a very, very different person. And then I realized, there's a lot more to this world. My whole worldview changed, and with it, so did my, how I kind of view Jesus. But I still try to, do everything exactly how I think Jesus would do it today. Like a modern day Jesus. And that's where I try to, like, that's the line I'm going to draw. And I'm not going to do anything that's just too.
It's interesting because, and when I look at the Bible and when I look at the four Gospels in particular, I don't think I really studied them as hard as I did until I was coming into my deconversion process a bit. And when I learned more about the person of Jesus, I was kind of confused because it was almost like, like this is actually a person I thought I knew, but kind of didn't. There's kind of some weird, interesting bits in there and stuff that people don't talk about as much or don't expect. And on top of that, like, the messages are kind of mixed sometimes. At some point, he says he comes not to bring peace, but a sword. But also,
I was just gonna say,
like sword. People talk about how he is the Prince of Peace and stuff. So and there's all kinds of little stuff like that when you read it. And when I realized, me putting in the legwork to even read this stuff and really dissect it and look at even what scholars are saying, like, I'm already doing more than what 90% of Christians even do in the first place. And I got to a point, I don't know if you've ever felt this, where I almost felt alienated from the people I knew, because it was like, oh man, I've been doing some deep dive into this stuff. Like, what you guys look at is just what you get on Sunday, and it's like, I don't know if you realize the complexity of some of these issues and stuff. And religion became more complicated for me before it became more simple,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really, really loved to dive in as deep as I possibly could into the Gospels. I read the Bible cover to cover several times in multiple languages, in both English and Spanish. When I served a Mormon mission in a Spanish-speaking country, and part of the process of learning was just, I'll start reading. I'll start with the Bible in Spanish, and by the time I finished it, I was fluent. Which it took about a year to get through it the first time, but it worked. And so, I felt like I had a really, really good knowledge of who of Jesus Christ. It's funny because you mentioned this before. Everybody's got their own version of Jesus and what he would do in a specific situation. And the thing that I think kind of drives me now, especially in I would say the best example is like TikTok, for example, that I get every message, just about overwhelmingly is blasphemy, blasphemy, blasphemy. How dare you? This is I feel so offended. You could do this with any other religion, but why do you choose to do this with ours? Kind of thing. And I feel like I want to reach through the screen and kind of shake them by the shoulders and go, like, do you realize that this is no different than Jesus 2,000 years ago, with the Pharisees and
Pharisees and Sadducees. Yeah, there you go.
Coming at Jesus, saying, "Oh, you're look at you, blasphemer,
Yeah.
and
exactly.
And it's
Jesus did what to the Jewish people what Joseph Smith did to Christianity. Like, that's how I think about it. But,
exactly. The only difference is now people can not just say blasphemy, but then they can do a duet with me on TikTok,
right,
to show that it's blasphemy, which is just pushing me out there further into the internets. They don't realize, like, if it's blasphemy, you should probably just take that up with God personally, or walk away. But to just even to cry out blasphemy, you're already no better, and so it's just kind of like, I feel like almost at times like I'm a walking litmus test of how, I don't know, self-righteous or somebody might be or whatever. Yeah,
I can see how you could get that response and just be like, oh, like, I wish you just knew. I wish you just knew what I do. I feel that way sometimes when I'm talking to people. And oh my gosh, like, all the ex-Mormon friends I know too, because, like, not only are you trying to leave Christianity, but you got all that extra stuff too that you gotta decompress from and just really examine. I grew up in the kind of a Baptist Methodist culture, and Baptists, if there's one pastime they love, it's talking mess about other denominations. And I always heard, like, all the stuff about what Mormons believe, and they were always like, oh, they get their own planets and stuff, and just like some of it was true, some of it was like kind of more propaganda than anything. But yeah, like, that's got to be a different world too, just because when I left the membership of my church, it was just my community, whereas if you leave the Mormon church, that's a couple 100,000 people, million people, right? That's like you can identify with. I don't know, it's a different world for sure.